I call to order the Riverview Community School District Board of Education regular meeting, October 22nd, 2024. Secretary Walker, roll call, please.
President Board,
Here.
Secretary Walker here, Treasurer Davis.
Here.
Trustee Meeks.
Here.
Vice President Dominski, Trustee O'Brien, and Trustee Toth are excused.
We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll go to guest and visitor comments for the 2-minute session. The purpose of the public participation portion of the meeting is to provide an opportunity for the citizens to share their thoughts with the board. Personal concerns are best handled through proper channels. Questions requiring investigation will be referred to the superintendent for consideration. Are there any guests and visitors here that want to share their comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to item A52, acceptance of agenda. Do I have a motion?
President Boer,
Treasurer Davis.
be it resolved, the Riverview Board of Education accept the agenda for October 22nd, 2024 regular meeting.
Motion by Treasurer Davis. Do we have support?
Support.
Supported by Trustee Meeks. Any discussion? Hearing none, Secretary Walker, roll call, please.
President Board,
Yes.
Secretary Walker, yes. Treasurer Davis.
Yes.
Trustee Meeks.
Yes.
Next, we'll move on to consent grouping, item A53. Do I have a motion?
President Board,
Secretary Walker.
be it resolved, the Riverview Board of Education accept the minutes of the September study session, the minutes of the September regular meeting, approves the check registers and purchase card expense reports, approves the individual contracts, approves the special education cooperative agreement, and approves the Riverview Virtual Academy teacher agreement as all contained in the consent grouping.
Motion by Secretary Walker. Do we have support?
Support.
Supported by Treasurer Davis. Any discussion? Hearing none, Secretary Walker, roll call, please.
Secretary Walker, yes. Treasurer Davis.
Yes.
President Board,
Yes.
Trustee Meeks.
Yes.
Next, we'll move on to board updates with our RCHS student liaison, Selma.
Hi, good evening. So, October has been a treat. The homecoming festivities were lovely, and I'd like to thank the RCHS Student Council and everyone involved who helped put it on. I'd also like to especially congratulate the class of 2025 on their second consecutive homecoming float win, their spirit drum win, and their powder puff win. The seniors are on top. A huge congratulations to the boys varsity soccer team. They're the district champions for the 5th year in a row. The game-winning goal came off the foot of Luis Villa from the 40 yards out to the head of Jack Bias. They are playing right now as we speak in the first round of regionals at Divine Child. The boys cross-country team raced in the final Huron League competition on October 17th, and their varsity teams will compete at Lake Erie Metro Park in regionals on Saturday, October 26th. Come support them. Tryout information for winter sports has already come out. Keep checking Schoology and mark your calendars for more upcoming events. On October 16th, the high school had a successful virtual day. Seniors had a virtual English assignment to complete. Juniors took the PSAT, and sophomores and freshmen spent the day completing valuable Zello assignments. On October 18th, 17 student leaders from Student Council attended the Leadership Training Institute presented by the Michigan Association of Student Councils and Honor Societies. It was super fun, and we learned a lot from meeting student councils from other schools. Trimester 1 conferences were October 10th, and they were super successful, and there was also a useful FAFSA informational meeting that day that was open to all parents. This month, we have some emerging leaders projects going on. This Friday is the Breast Cancer Awareness Football Game hosted by my Emerging Leaders Group for our Passion Project. We have been selling shirts, and all the funds have been going to a Southgate teacher struggling with cancer. This week at all the elementary schools, we will be selling bracelets and stickers, and there will be a 50-50 raffle at the game. All funds from the game will go to our cause. And another Emerging Leaders project that has been happening is the book drive. The book drive ended on Monday, and they've done an amazing job contributing to the learning, growth, and inspiration of all kids in the Riverview community. This Friday, also join us 4:30 to 5 for Connection Club's Trunk or Treat. Everyone is welcome. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Selma, for the update on the many activities at the high school. Next, administrative comments, legislative report, Superintendent Hatzel.
Okay, thank you, President Boer. We're just 2 weeks away from the November 5th election, and there's two important school ballot proposals. The first is a non-homestead millage. This is a required operating millage that all schools must levy to receive their full state aid and only applies to businesses within the city limits. The second is the Wayne County Regional Enhancement Millage, which provides important supplemental funding to all of Wayne County schools. And more information can be found on our website. So be sure to get out and vote on November 5th. Also on that same day, because of the election, in our shared buildings with the city in the polling spots, we will not have any school. As Selma said, the high school had conferences last week, but this week on Thursday, our elementary and middle school buildings will have their parent-teacher conferences. A couple years ago, we've expanded the hours, so be sure if you haven't already to set up a time to meet with our amazing staff and hear about your students' growth. In conjunction with the Connection Club Trunk or Treat, we're doing a joint project with the American Legion, who also is doing a trunk or treat that afternoon from 4 to 7, so you can hit both and get lots of fun and candy. I want to congratulate the high school, which is now an officially My Heart Safe School. The Safe Schools team and the administrators and staff have earned this designation, which recognizes a school's efforts to prevent sudden cardiac death of the young and the preparedness for a cardiac emergency. I'd also like to thank our admin and especially our students for their behavior. On October 8th, we had the court to school, and Judge DeSanto from Wyandotte and 27th District Court came and tried some cases at the high school auditorium. So very live and meaningful event with some actual hands-on and live learning for our students. So thanks to all who helped make that happen. Thank you, President Boer.
Thank you, Superintendent Hatzel. I just want to let also the community know that we'll have information on the website, as Superintendent Hatzel said. There's also in the September Riverview Register and in the October Riverview Register information regarding both ballot proposals. The non-homestead ballot proposal, when renewed, continues $2.5 million to our district. And the Wayne Risa enhancement millage, if renewed, continues approximately $1 to $1.2 million for our district. And it's very important for our kids and our staff and our programs. Next, we'll move on to new business. Item A54, approve the RCHS Europe 2025 trip. Superintendent Hatzel, background, please.
RCHS Assistant Principal Ryan DeBrano is planning an educational trip to Europe for high school social studies students for March 2024. The group will be traveling to London, France, and Spain, as outlined in the packet from Explorica. This evening, the board is asked to formally approve this upcoming trip. It is the recommendation of the superintendent and the high school principal that the Riverview Board of Education approve the 2025 educational European trip for Mr. DeBrano and the high school social studies students as presented.
Thank you, Superintendent Hatzel. Do I have a motion?
President Boer,
Trustee Meeks?
be it resolved that the Riverview Board of Education approves the educational European trip to London, France, and Spain in March of 2025 for Mr. DeBrano and the RCHS social studies students as presented.
Motion by Trustee Meeks. Any support?
Support.
Supported by Treasurer Davis. Any discussion? Hearing none. Secretary Walker, roll call, please.
Trustee Meeks?
Yes.
President Boer?
Yes.
Treasurer Davis?
Yes.
Secretary Walker, yes.
Next, we'll move on to item A55, approve RCHS Europe 2026 trip. Superintendent Hatzel, background, please.
Our CHS Assistant Principal Ryan DeBrano is planning an educational trip to Europe for the high school social studies students from March 2026 through April 2026. The group will be traveling to Amsterdam, Brussels, and Paris, as outlined in the packet from Exploripa. This evening, the board is asked to formally approve the upcoming trip. It is a recommendation of the superintendent and the high school principal that the Riverview Board of Education approve the 2026 educational European trip for Mr. DeBrano and the high school social studies students as presented.
Thank you, Superintendent Hatzel. I will read the motion. Be it resolved that the Riverview Board of Education approves the educational European trip to Amsterdam, Brussels, and Paris, departing in March of 2026, for Mr. DeBrano and the RCHS Social Studies students as presented. Do I have support?
Support.
Supported by Secretary Walker. Any discussion? Hearing none, Secretary Walker, roll call, please.
Secretary Walker, yes. Treasurer Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Meeks?
Yes.
President Board?
Yes. Next, we'll go to guest and visitor comments, the 5-minute session. Any guests and visitors present wishing to share their comments for the 5-minute session? Seeing none, we'll go on to items for discussion presented by board members concerning which no action can be taken. Any items for discussion? I'd like to thank Superintendent Hatzel and Assistant Superintendent Maxon and our Seats Middle School Principal, Mr. Gill, and Assistant Principal, Mrs. Gurney, for helping the board at last night's study session understand the many data sets and understand the ongoing efforts using MTSS and intervention at Seats Middle School for math, literacy, and ELA. The efforts are tremendous, including PLC work to address absenteeism, and they're beginning to show good signs of progress, and it's helped us assess some key impactful goals on our strategic plan. I also want to thank all of our veterans in our community and district for their service to our country, state, and community in recognition of the upcoming Veterans Day. If you know of any veterans on your block or in your neighborhood, especially if they're seniors or homebound, by all means, take an opportunity to reach out and thank them. Maybe visit, chat for a while, bake some cookies, and bring them for a visit. I guarantee your visit to them will be appreciated, and they will be glad to share their stories of their service with you. And I've got one more for the Forest Parent Club. I'd like to thank the Forest Elementary Parents Club, especially two members, Mrs. Harding and Mrs. Perdue, with the help of Principal Melly, Mrs. Coleman, and Mrs. Uzi, collaboratively led a group of 17 families to help out our very busy teachers and staff by putting up bulletin boards in empty classrooms, empty spaces, and in the main conference room where meetings are held. They cut out bucks and other paper projects, and they were decorating teacher carts, organizing bookshelves, and taking down and hanging up students' work, and also cleaning and organizing the art supplies. Mrs. Perdue sent along a message to Superintendent Hatzel, which was relayed to me, where Mrs. Perdue conveyed and emphasized the mutual respect and trust between the families and staff. That's one of the most beautiful and successful aspects at the heart of Riverview schools. And Mrs. Harding and Mrs. Perdue also were very thankful for the Forest Parent Club, Mrs. Melly, and the Riverview community, and they're excited to plan more community-based activities. So on behalf of the board, I want to thank everyone who helped in this effort. I understand Trustee Tolth's wife and daughter also helped, and I also want to say this family engagement and community spirit of helping each other is one of the many, many points of pirate pride in our district. Any other comments or items for discussion. Next, we'll move on to future business. The November study session will be Monday, the 25th at 6:30 at RCHS. And our regular meeting for November will be here in the Riverview City Hall Council Chambers on Tuesday, the 26th, immediately following our audit presentation, which begins at 6:30 in the Riverview City Hall Conference Room. Next, I'll need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Meeks. Is there support? Supported by Secretary Walker. Any discussion? Hearing none. Secretary Walker, roll call, please.
President Ford?
Yes.
Secretary Walker, yes. Treasurer Davis?
Yes.
Trustee Meeks?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Meeting adjourned at 7:16.